right, we'll go ahead and open up the Ford County Commission meeting. This is commission meeting number 2021-44, and up first is a prayer and pledge of allegiance, so.
You want me to do prayer first?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. Thank you so much.
First, I'd like to thank you all for your service for the county. Sometimes we forget to thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Father, we come to you now thanking you and praising you for another beautiful day. Thanking you, Lord, for continued guidance and direction. As we end the old year, we ask you to give them special wisdom for the coming year and to help the residents of Ford County, and just thank you for the freedom that we have and for all those that have fought for that freedom, and we'll give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have an amendment to the consent agenda, and it is for the Syrah Malt Beverage license for Rancho El Palomino. So I make a motion to add Rancho El Palomino to the consent agenda.
I second
So the motion second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we have the consent agenda before us. This is the approval of meeting minutes 2021-40, 2021-41, and 2021-42. There's a Syrah Malt Beverage application for Western State Bank Expo Center, a Syrah Malt Beverage application for Freedom Petroleum doing business as the Spearville Truck Stop, and a Syrah Malt Beverage for Leobardo Del Rio doing business as Rancho Palomino. Could be a second, remember that one? All right. So I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
it. I second it.
With a motion second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to claims for payments. This time we have claims in the amount of $749,784.56. Debbie, is there anything you want to present to us? Yeah. All right, cost of doing work. I make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
I second it.
With the motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're at the point of the meeting where this is open public comment. Please limit it to 5 minutes per individual, 15 minutes per topic, and if there is something for emergency situation, we can bring that up at the next, or we can take action this time, or if there's something that we need to act quicker, we can bring that up now. So the microphone is open. If anybody wants to come up, they sure can.
Hi.
I'm Jessica Lewis. I'm with the Western State Bank Expo Center. I just wanted to remind you guys that we have an employee luncheon on Thursday, the 9th. It's a come and go from 11 to 2. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna have a sweater contest, hot chocolate bar. Oh, ugly sweater.
Ugly sweater contest.
Don't just roll in any old sweater.
Ugly.
Yeah.
And we're also hosting a drive for pasta.
And we are accepting donations, so if you decide to bring something, we can collect them there, and we'll get them to Casa either later that day or Friday.
Okay. Excellent.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on. There is no unfinished business and no legal counsel on our agenda, so I'll turn it over to the county administrator's report.
First item we have is the Ford County Historical Society.
Hello. Merry Christmas. Is it too early?
No, never too early.
Any presents?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. We wanted to talk to the commission today about bunch of things that are happening recently. And, some of the things we need at the LC, the Legacy Center, to open it fully, is a fire suppression system. And we've gotten 2 bids on that, an additional bid pending. And, one is for $175,000 and one's for $81,000. And with that, we have a grant opportunity with the HEAL grant, which stands for Historic Economic Asset Lifeline. And this is a one-time grant that the state's providing up to $75,000 per grant. And this would help us with the fire suppression system, which is again something we have to have to fully open the Legacy Center. This is a ADA issue, it's a fire safety issue, and it's an absolute need. And we'd like today to ask the county, it's a 50-50 match, dollar for dollar, to ask the county's help in financing that match. It's, you know, basically comes down to, if we get the grant, we've got $75,000 coming from a grant. If we don't, there's no obligation to match it. But we found out today from Jonathan, that works for the Kansas Department of Commerce, which sponsors this grant, that this is the only time they're ever gonna offer this grant. It's not gonna be an annual grant.
Okay.
So this is our opportunity to apply and hopefully get this $75,000 grant that we'd match and be able to take the fire suppression system in. And there's also some other things that you'll see on the thing we sent. We have some chair lists we have to have. We've got 2 bids on that. One for $28,000 and one more bid to come. And that's another ADA. That's another thing you have to have. We have a basement, we have a mezzanine. They both have stairways. And so we are working on that also to get the Legacy Center fully open. We also want to go and get LED lighting, which would be helpful for the exhibits, and for having more lighting and save on electricity in the future. That's always something we want to save on future obligations. The HVA system, we have a temporary fixed. We got 2 furnaces, we got an east and a west. And they both need some help. We've got enough to get both of them to work for the winter. But this is something in the future that we're gonna have to have. We don't have any bids on that because it's gonna be another year before we actually get to that. Elevator, we have an elevator in the building. It's been there since probably 1948 when the building was built. And if anybody owns an elevator, they know what this can be. Maintenance wise, it always seems to be something with the elevators. But it'd be great if we get it to use. It's a freight elevator, it connects to the outside alley. And that's what it was made for originally when it was a department store and then a furniture store. And for bigger projects, that would be nice to have to get from the basement up to the 2nd floor and the 1st floor. We have a $90,000 grant, and it's not a bid, it's just what the one person told us it would possibly take to get it in action. And because it's probably an original 1948 elevator, you can't convert it to modern technology very easily, if not at all.
Maybe,
So,
we're working on that, we're sending them pictures.
Yeah, Josh Rosen's taking pictures of everything, and we're sending him that to make sure that what we need is what we need. Okay, the exterior tiles, if you've seen it, when we got the building, there are about 10 or 12 tiles missing on the west side, and 2 up on the roof, they're the highest part. And we've got, a local company, actually it's a neighbor of one of our people, and they did the job, completed, we got the less than the other bid we got for the project. And now all the tiles on the outside are on the building.
Okay.
Makes it look better. Grants, the HEAL grant, and that's the grant we're talking about today, which again has one of those government names, the Historic Economic Asset Lifeline. And those are initials for it. And that one we're working on, as we said, we've talked to Jonathan, and he also said that what we're asking for, the project we're asking for, is perfect for what the grant was put together to fund. So, beneficial for that.
You had a chance to look at the grant, it's for downtown buildings.
The HEAL grant,
Yeah.
yeah, I have it here.
Okay,
You have to be downtown, like you.
I got Connie's copy.
great.
Also, Humanities Kansas, we got part of a Spark grant for $4,900 from them. And the state of Kansas is offering a tourism grant due in January next year. It's for tourist organizations and projects. We don't know exactly where we are with that one yet.
So Kim, we did have a quote here for 101 mobility, on the chairs.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
yeah, that did come in, so we did get a copy of that, and we got the
Yeah.
chairlift part of it.
Yeah.
And the only thing, just really probably to, point out too on some of these is, when they're charging you that sales tax for $1,066.50 on things like that, we're exempt.
Yes.
Right.
So, yeah.
And we know that.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit of a question on that. We were gonna go for clarification because they are concerned about what the stairs are made out of in the Legacy Center. Nobody seems to be able to tell us exactly what the stairs are made out of, whether they're concrete steel combination or all steel or, we know it has a steel frame, we can see that much, but the stairs are actually finished off underneath and actually everywhere we've tried to look. Doug can address that question better than I can, but, so the quote on that is may possibly change depending on how
Material.
and when we find out what our stairs are made out of.
Okay.
Okay. We also have received tax credits from the Home of Stone project in the amount of $22,725. These are 100% tax credits against your state obligated taxes after you figured out what you owe and taken all other deductions you can take. So if you gave us $1,000, you get $1,000 off of what you owe the state of Kansas.
And it was 22,000 and what?
$725. And again, this is for the Home of Stone project. These are 25, you get 25% of the cost of the project in tax credits.
You get 25%.
We offer it, and then if you fund it, and you market it, and you get all the people to participate, you get the 22,560.
Keeps your money in your community.
Right.
We think now that we finally finished the Home of Stone, we'll do the same, we'll make another application for the Legacy Center.
Yeah. And we've already had interest in these tax credits. You have to have the donation by December 31st to take it into 2021 taxes.
What did they make checks out to? Is it,
Ford County Historical Society.
okay, perfect.
And we've contacted all the accountants in the area, and we've contacted some individuals. And we don't have a whole lot of them, and we expect to have them all taken. Okay. Also, we emptied out the health department of all our stuff, and it's now in the LC, the Legacy Center. I'm appreciative of that, so you guys can not worry about our stuff anymore. Also, we need to have the sprinklers outside of the Home of Stone moved, because where we're gonna place the Pat Masterson statue, we're gonna have to move. This is gonna be in a place where people can see it from both streets, and that makes the sprinklers use.
And some walkway up to it, that's probably gonna be concrete.
Does it need to be ADA?
No,
Okay.
no, that's.
No stairs, no chairs,
Right.
just stand there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll have it set up so they can take pictures, so we can stand next to the Pat Masterson and have a picture taken, like we do at Duck Holiday.
Mhm. We'll get the house in the background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's why it's going where it's going.
I'm not sure which spot it's going in, but that's great.
Kind of in the middle of the yard if you go from the corner towards the house.
Okay.
Kind of in the middle.
Okay.
So people on both streets can see it.
Yep.
All right, I think that's about it.
So,
The only other thing is, on the grant's due January, December
Fast.
20th.
Yeah.
So we have a deadline to meet, and it's not too far off. So if the county could participate in this, we'd appreciate knowing it as soon as possible, so we can put it in the grant.
get our picture.
What's the total amount you're asked for the guys for?
We're gonna go for the $75,000 max, so it'd be 75,000. So dollar for dollar match, 50/50 match.
You're going for the full 150, you want 75 from us. Yes.
Because we got other things like the lifts and other things to do. And, sooner you get it done, and you know what's happening in inflation lately. I mean, lumber used to be really high, it's a little lower now, but everything's gone up. Gas, it doesn't matter. If you're filling your car up, you know what's happening. So we wanna get it done as quickly as possible, so we don't have to suffer any further inflation.
According to Jonathan at the Kansas Department of Commerce, there's only gonna give about 10 of these grants out throughout the state.
Okay.
And we would like to be, with our history and everything else, like to be the number one for this part of the state.
The deal with the state, or the state sales, state income tax, would you get something printed up and get it to me?
Sure.
I happen to know a couple guys who could probably help you out.
Okay, no problem with that. Thanks.
No, it's not thanks yet.
It's thanks for the effort, yeah.
Maybe it's-
If you'll get, I can come over by the place and pick it up or something, okay?
Okay.
I'd like to have a copy so I have a few people I can hit on.
Okay,
And it's like anything else, it's a first come, first served,
Understand?
On this grant?
and the tax credit.
Oh, tax credits, yeah.
But, as soon as we can, because we gotta get letters of support for this HEALS grant, that'll take some time. And the quicker we can know we got the match, the quicker we can include that and everything.
Mhm.
Any questions?
Now, on the state of Kansas, on the income tax, there's a max, you say?
we just have a certain amount of money that we can sell these tax credits. We have $22,725. We
That's the
can't
match.
sell any more than that.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, you need to
Yeah.
write that down for me.
Yep.
If possible, might know one person could. join you.
Yeah, sometimes that happens, one person takes it off.
Especially if people know about it, accountants and people have done it before.
Say this again?
When more people know about the tax credits and if they've done it before, they know the advantages, and they can go pretty quick once those kind of people hear about it.
Sure.
So, anyway, you can help us with the match, we appreciate it, we got some other folks here today, and, making progress. We're making progress with the bids, because we're getting some really good bids compared to what we originally had. And we gotta take advantage of that. Any other questions? Good. Thanks. Your time and your help.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think before we can go forward with this here, we sure have to, Commissioner Tassett would have to be involved with that.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't know if we have the timing, because today being the 6th, and this is due by the 20th, which is the next meeting date. It's gonna be pushing this timeframe pretty quick unless we do a special meeting just for this.
We can't apply without proof of match. We can't even make the application, so.
Right.
Yeah. I
We
mean,
need time to get that done.
And this grant only became known to anybody a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
Right.
it's pretty new, got it pretty short.
It is new, it's a one-time thing, so it's like,
Is Tassett sick or something, sir? Okay.
Or you want to contact him by phone or something?
can't do
Well, I
that.
think we need.
Well, he couldn't, but.
I can't talk to him, you know,
Right.
But
but
we
Sean
can.
can,
Yeah.
or JD can.
But we'll make sure it gets contacted.
Is there a time you want us to check back with you?
Do you know how long we might wait? It's multiple days, week?
Week or.
Okay,
Next Monday.
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you all. gentlemen.
Excuse me. Pardon me.
Next item is the Ford County Engineer. Traffic impact study. And then item number 3 will also be Fort County Attorney.
Just since you have multiple things, we'll call out which like it.
They're all out there.
Yep.
Good afternoon, first of all.
John?
So the first item is an update on the traffic impact study and also the additional services authorization. So Kirk and Michael was contracted by Ford County this summer to complete a traffic impact study related to the proposed Helmer Cheese manufacturing facility south of Dodge City. We have been working on that traffic study, which included collecting traffic counts and evaluating the impacts to the road network around where the facility is going to be. We have completed that traffic impact study, working in close proximity with Ford County, Dodge City, and the Kansas Department of Transportation. We've submitted it. It's been reviewed and commented by KDOT, and we've resubmitted it in its final form from our standpoint, waiting for KDOT's final review and comments. So there might be some minor things coming forth, but the traffic impact study itself is complete. After several meetings, knowing that the cheese plant is proposed to start construction next, after the first of the year sometime, maybe February or March, is what I've heard. And they've indicated that they would like to go into startup mode in October of 2023, in full production possibly in 2024. There's quite a bit of roadway improvements that need to be done to facilitate the amount of traffic that's going to be surrounding this plant. And so KDOT is interested in expediting as much as possible planning, design, and construction of these infrastructure improvements. So what they asked Kurt and Michael to do, since we were already working on the traffic impact study and had a good idea of what these improvements were, to go one step further than what our scope was in the traffic impact study, which essentially was to develop some schematic drawings of some of the improvements on the highway network. But the facility also needs 2 miles of roadway improvement on what's currently township roads. 112 Road south of Highway 400 and Outlaw Road west of 283. So KDOT asked us to develop more detailed conceptual drawings, not only of the roadway intersections with those 2 township roads where they intersect the highways, but also of the intersection improvements that have been recommended at Highway 283 and 56/400. Also South 2nd Avenue, so a lot of people know it in town, 283 highway. And so we looked at, or we developed a concept that would also accommodate the wind farm traffic that comes through that intersection. Along with that, KDOT requested if we would go ahead and develop high-level construction cost estimates for all of the improvements, so they could have a good idea of the total cost implications potentially of these improvements. And we also developed a field survey request document. KDOT actually was interested in approaching their own survey department to see if they'd be willing to, or I shouldn't say willing, but capable of doing the survey from a manpower standpoint. So we did develop a field survey request, which was basically a drawing on Google Earth of the area that would need to be topographically surveyed for these roadway improvements, and a brief description of all the items in the survey that would need to be collected. KDOT did approach their survey staff, and they said that they've got a ton of work for KDOT already, and they said they do not have the capacity to complete the field survey for these projects. Then we also evaluated critical path items for successful implementation of the project, including development of plans, development of right-of-way plans, especially on the township roads. Going down there, there's specifically Outlaw Road. It's a flat road, but it's very narrow. It's basically a 2-track road, probably, I'd guess, measured maybe 20 foot wide. We're talking about the desire to build a 28-foot paved road out there. So it's going to need additional right-of-way. looking at potential utility impacts, what permits would be needed for construction, if there's any potential environmental restrictions. And then we participated in a number of follow-up meetings with KDOT, Fort County, Dodge City to discuss all these items. So we have completed what I just described as far as additional work is in the additional services authorization. We have completed all those items and submitted that to KDOT. I also provided copies to the county and Dodge City of those items, so everybody has those at their disposal. So all told, requesting an additional or an increase of $20,000 to the what was originally a traffic impact study is now expanded to scope. $20,000 increase to that contract was originally $23,750. So approval of that increase would increase our contract to $43,750. So that's focused just on additional service authorization through the county engineer report. I was going to discuss a little bit or elaborate more on the where to go from here with the roadway improvements.
So John,
I wanted to digest there.
There really is, and I think what's interesting in a county seat is we're working on 283 and also, you know, basically Highway 56 or 400, which are both KDOT roads, and the county's being asked to cover that cost of them expanding that to a roundabout.
Well, that's a totally different conversation.
But I mean, we're the engineering scope of work of the design, is that what's?
No, that's not to that level yet. All we have produced was a schematic drawing.
Okay.
Which if you're talking about a design standpoint, probably about 10%
Okay,
complete drawing. So it's a long way from the construction plan drawing.
gotcha. Okay,
So that would require many more thousands of dollars to get to that point.
okay, and I don't know costs and figures of, it's pretty simple ask of these 6 things, but I understand the whole 112 and Outlaw Road, 'cause that's us. I mean, that's our roads, so I get that part of it.
And we can go through this in a bigger discussion if that would help.
Well,
To come back to this.
yeah, I mean, we're not at that date yet. I mean, that would be
No.
future.
So the big scheme of things, we're kind of in that point where decisions need to be made about who is gonna take responsibility for certain things and how to proceed forward with that. KDOT is, maybe JD can elaborate a little bit on it, but my understanding is, and I haven't seen it, but the county, I believe, applied for some funding assistance from the state. I think it's through the Department of Commerce, if I'm not correct on that.
Is that right? Don't
For
recall.
this project?
For, I think, the township road improvements. Does that sound right?
No, I think we're bonded, we're gonna use our bond authority for all that. I think go ahead.
But like I said, I haven't seen the document, that's what I was told by.
We did? For the township roads?
What I was told, I believe, was about $8.8 million for economic development
Oh,
assistance.
because when Garth came here, we were gonna bond, and then we decided to use it because it was roads, because we didn't have to bond it for the road projects. No, it's all right.
Okay.
No, that's right, we changed it, yeah, you're right,
Is-
8.8.
okay.
Because our bond authority was like 10.2 or something like that. I guess my question for the project is, and I haven't had a chance to have this conversation with John since I've been out, but my question is if this was in the scope originally for the state, right, the surveying, basically, and some of the scope that we're increasing, engineering.
Well, we haven't done any surveying yet, that's
Okay.
a further discussion.
But if that was part of the state's original scope for them to do, and if they can't do it fast enough, they're asking us, as the county, to subcontract their scope of work.
They're asking if the county would be willing to, yes,
And if
but
we
not
say-
saying that you have to.
Right, and if we say no, what happens? It just pushes the project down the road.
It's gonna take a little more time. I mean, KDOT said, and, you know, I don't work for KDOT, so I don't wanna speak on their behalf, but what they advised us is that they could procure a consultant through their on-call process to do the survey.
Well, I definitely don't want us to be the entity that is pushing the Hillmark project further out. I mean, that's not the goal. My opinion as the administrator is that if we're going to approve the scope of services if you guys are gonna approve Kirk and Michael, I think the state needs to put some dollars into that fund for us. I mean, if they're basically asking us if we're willing to subcontract their scope, I think that's a fair ask.
And I got-
As long as we're not delaying. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna say no, but I think that's a fair ask.
Well, I can explain the process a little bit better if the commissioners would like me to. The economic development grant that was applied for the road improvement projects, it's an 80-20 grant. It may even be more than that potentially. And it's kind of a collaborative grant, and depending on who takes the lead, at this portion, we've only done the preliminary engineering study, so they're asking for the next step to try to just keep the process moving. They have some concerns of it being a traditional, or being a design-build project, because their workload up the state's really high, and then they have some concerns with it being a design-build project and potentially not get any engineering firms and contractors actually wanna come out here and do that work for us. They think that it might be more advantageous to go to the design bid build route. They are very concerned about timelines as we are to keep this project moving. All these expenses that we're talking about will be, shared, and really the 112th Outlaw Road and intersections is what we're moving forward with and what is being discussed. That other roundabout or whatever, the improvements, that's gonna be a discussion down the road. It's not anything that's absolutely critical for Hillmar's timeline. Hillmar's timeline, the most critical piece is gonna be 112th Road, at least to the south limits of their property. That portion in that intersection is gonna be most critical for us to at least not put any undue time constraints or, burden on them. So that portion needs to be, we need to be pushing hard to get that portion done. The rest of it's gonna take some time and some study. But I think really what we're trying to do is just trying to keep moving the project forward, and survey is one of those key components that we're gonna have to look at survey. Trying to determine exactly what the limits of those boundaries are gonna be. There is potential for having to get some land acquisition in those areas, because there are some very narrow right-of-ways in those areas. And so we need to be making sure that we're moving the project forward. And this is just that next step in the progression of this project. And either Kirk and Michael can do it, or we can go out for proposals from other firms if that's what the county would prefer. But it's natural at this point just to continue on with Kirk and Michael. There may become a point where the county commission decides to cut ties with Kirk and Michael and go with another firm, but as of right now, he's got the available staff to get out there and get the survey complete and continue with some of the plan in design.
Okay. That helps, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's, in the big scheme, yeah, so Cato was just, part of their deal is, through their process, they said they could procure a consultant through the on-call. It still could end up being us, I don't know.
Sure.
What will happen. But it does take a little time, so they were just, I guess, asking me to be the pitch guy to say if the county were willing to go ahead and take on that procurement, because you have the ability to do it more quickly, to keep the project going faster, you could. Now, as JD mentioned, if the state wanted to put money into that, that could be proposed in the state too, and I got the feeling that could be a possibility, certainly no guarantees, as far as the survey goes. One thing we did put out there, and again, nothing's in writing or set in stone, but KDOT felt like, as far as right-of-way acquisition, if any was needed on the highway system, they would take that on themselves, but on the township/county roads, they felt like that would be county responsibility to procure the right-of-way. So we complete survey and get the data in, don't know exactly what that would be. I feel confident Outlaw Road would need right-of-way for the entire mile. 112 Road is a unique situation. Looking at the road maps, the section line is here and the road is over here to the east, 30 to 40 feet off section lines. So I don't remember off the top of my head how the right-of-way is described. It looked like the right-of-way is described on section line, but the road is actually not there on section line. So that may take some work to get that settled out. I don't know that we're gonna move the road necessarily, because there's a lot of stuff built on either side of the road. That we don't wanna move. I mean, the city has major sewage transmission lines on both sides of the road, towards out their plant, so moving the road probably isn't really the best option. Redefine, if it needs redefine the right of way, seems like it'd be the best option.
Okay.
Moving forward, but as far as moving the road, any road improvement forward, survey, is gonna be the first step. We've pretty well defined the desired improvements that are gonna be needed to take, giving that to KDOT and the county, so get forward, moving forward with the survey is gonna be the next step. Whoever that is, and who's paying for it, who's responsible for it, that's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah.
Trying to figure all that out.
Yep. Okay.
So this additional services that I presented to the commission today is really just more from the planning level, looking at costs, looking at what's the critical items to get done first and what order, and by what timeframes, to get to the point where we're today. So we've not actually done any survey, done any actual design work. It's been more from a big picture planning level.
Okay.
So what you're saying here with this extra $20,000, that includes a mile of 112 and also an Allen Road? Surveying on that, planning that, is that what you said? Is that what this is?
We came up with a cost estimate to pave the 1 mile of 112 Road out. We've not actually done any survey on anything yet. What we did is we presented a survey request document that could be handed to somebody that would do the survey. So that they have that scope of, here's the scope of survey needed. That's what we've developed so
The
far.
next stated there, actually, they was talking about 112 Road just as far as the property was that the city had given to the cheese plant. So which would normally be about a half mile, is that correct?
That's the critical section that needs to be built first. The circulation of traffic to the plant is gonna utilize Outlaw Road and the full mile of
And
112
this,
to Outlaw.
and this 20 grand you're talking about, what does it do?
That was,
I'm asking what you're gonna do for 20,000?
we've already done it. So we've developed cost estimates for, and we've done it at risk, I'll admit that. We've developed cost estimates for these infrastructure improvements. We've come up with the scope of work needed to complete a field survey. And we developed a schematic for, as it's been thrown out there, a roundabout to be.
Well, you've already done the $20,000 worth, right?
We have done the work already, yes.
Okay, which
Yes.
consists of what?
The 6 items on the sheet, that's what I'm just describing to you right now. Developing a cost estimates, detailed cost estimates for paving 1 mile to 112 Road, paving 1 mile of Outlaw Road, constructing turn lanes at the intersections of Outlaw and 112 on the highways. and
Who's
then-
talking about the roundabout? Is that you or him? Who's talking about that?
That was something that was discussed with KDOT as a potential improvement at the intersection of 400, 283. There's nothing set in stone that's gonna happen, that's the
Well, I
concept
hope
that's
not.
been developed.
I hate those things. And so does everybody in here. Especially the guys in the law. Lots of wrecks.
And nothing's been designed, nothing's moving forward at this point. It's all just been planning level items.
You drove down Peabody, going down to Highway 50, and then Emporia, Dodge, get to Peabody, and how many wrecks did that cost, that one there?
I don't know the answer to that, but it saved a lot of fatalities, I'm pretty sure of that. I actually love roundabouts, so I'm sorry, you're preaching to the wrong guy on taking roundabouts. but It almost eliminates
There
fatalities.
you go, there you go. It's ever different strokes for different folks.
That is for sure. That's what makes the world great.
But since I'm sitting in this seat, and all the people I know that hate them, who do you suppose they're gonna call? They're gonna call you, or they're gonna call me? Or Nick, who are they gonna call? I just wanna know who I'm supposed to send it to, because they will be calling.
Well, so where we're at right now is, so these concepts have been turned into KDOT, they're reviewing them. And the cost estimates that we developed, and again, this is a big picture, I don't have quantities, it's not designed, but we came up with about $14.5 million to build all of these improvements that were proposed. economic development grant application that was, grant's not the right word,
No.
economic development application that was turned in by the county was for $8.8 million.
And the way it's set up now is, it's the intersections going on to Outlaw Road and 112th Road and those two roadways. The whole US 283, 450 discussion, that has nothing to do
Right.
with the grant,
Right.
with what work needs to be completed now. But that is another discussion that will, at some point, be addressed.
It's just a traffic flow thing.
That's
Yes.
correct. They were just identified through the traffic study as potential impacts and what are some potential improvements to that area.
I think, John, when I originally got this over the weekend, reading it and kind of digesting it, coming back to it, just trying to figure out, okay, what is this language? And I'm just going, I just don't want to focus into something that literally would be a KDOT highway
No,
job.
absolutely, not. You're right.
Yeah.
So, KDOT actually is discussed, and again, they're still talking about how this is all gonna work.
Right.
Because initially, they were talking about possibly taking on management of the whole project and getting it through KDOT. Now they're kind of discussing maybe it'd be better to break it up,
Yep.
just because, again, how state government works and all the environmental and archaeological reviews they have to go through, it just takes time.
Okay.
Where if they give, this is again just discussion items, if they were to give the county responsibility of the township road part, and maybe even those intersection improvements, the county can move a lot faster.
Just get it done.
And get it done faster, more closely to the Hillmar timeline. And so that intersection improvement of the highways, whether it be a roundabout or additional turn lanes, or whatever it ends up being, KDOT might take that on and break it out and fund it themselves, that way the county wouldn't be involved in that financially whatsoever. So then that economic development application is then focused just on the two township roads and where they intersect the highway.
Okay.
So what we've done as far as this additional services was just to help give people more information about what this overall project or projects, however it turns out, might look like,
Yep.
and what the costs are and the timelines of things.
Okay. All right, so as a commission in front of us is the additional services authorization requested from Kirkemichael as an amendment to increase their current bid for $20,000. So we need a motion to move forward with this. So I'd make a motion to approve the additional services authorization for $20,000 for Kirkemichael, their completion for the additional work outside of, I guess, the original scope we had for a traffic study.
Correct.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion second. Now we can, any further discussion on it? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate that very much. And it was hard to convey probably any of that in writing.
Yeah.
As you said, you were thinking about it over the weekend, so it was really discussed out here in the meeting, was about the only way to get through it.
Well, I think on our end of it, you know, I think the whole thing we're trying to figure out is, are we putting ourselves now in front of KDOT as the driver of that intersection? And that would be a very expensive piece of ground that we don't control, so.
Certainly.
Yeah,
And that, the answer to that is no.
right.
Absolutely no.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ned.
Next item, Fort County Engineer.
So I was gonna look at, the cheese plant item on the list first to see if there's anything we haven't covered yet. Maybe we pretty well figured that out. I guess I'll circle back to the survey part a little bit. So KDOT did ask, again, just from a timing standpoint, and I'm not asking for a yes or no at this point, but just think about it, and if there's no interest, that's fine. If the county would be willing to take on the survey part of it, just to expedite things and get them going, because everybody knows the timing of design and construction is gonna be very short, and very fast paced. And again, I haven't had time to talk to KDOT about who's level of deliverable with the survey that you've done too, because KDOT has a whole other level of what what consultant would be turning into KDOT. They have very specific reports that are bound and printed and given to KDOT, where somebody who's doing this for the county, other than section code references, the county doesn't care about all the other stuff.
Right.
KDOT
Just
wants
gets
electronic drawings of the topography and control points and benchmarks and, just a laundry list of things that, the county wouldn't care about 90% of that stuff.
Right.
So if the county, again, this would be probably up to KDOT more than anything, because a lot of this is on the KDOT highway system. If the survey was done to what the county needs, $50,000 would probably be a reasonable cost. But looking back at what we've done with KDOT projects, if it was done with KDOT requirements, it'd probably be more like $200,000.
Yeah.
Wide range of costs depending on who the work that they've done for.
Well, I get that thought process too. I mean, you're dealing with a different government, and they like high-speed roads, we don't. I mean, ours are, it's just a different, everything's different. I mean, right now, we're talking about a minimal maintenance, not minimal maintenance, probably not the right word for it, but a smaller county road that's dirt.
Right.
Moving that to a wider road, I mean.
Wider paved road.
Yep.
In 112 road especially, there's some drainage issues. The water runs over the road, I think at least 2 spots.
Yep.
Stands on the road for a while after a rain.
Yep.
In 2 spots. That needs to be elevated, because we're on a road that people traverse all the time.
All the time.
When they're needing to get people and milk into that plant, it needs to get there now, not 3 days from now.
Yeah.
Milk can't sit on a truck for 3 days. They don't have enough trucks to have it sitting on trucks for 3 days either. It needs to get in there as soon as possible and load it, come back for the next load. So there's gonna be some improvements beyond just paving. Quite a bit of dirt work done, maybe additional pipe culverts. For the turn lanes at, say, 112 and Highway 400, there's a large box culvert that goes at an angle through that intersection under the highway. If we're widening the highway for turn lanes, there's probably a good chance we need to extend that box culvert longer too. Usually the box culverts are built to accommodate the slope of the road as it is now. When you put in a wider road, you probably need a longer box to accommodate wider slopes. So there's gonna be quite a bit of work, and permitting would come into that. We would probably require Corps of Engineers permits, because you're modifying the waterway. That is the Blue Line Stream, which is one of the big criteria for Corps of Engineers. If it's on the map in a blue line, they want permits on that stuff. So there's gonna be quite a bit of stuff leading up to actually getting to construction. KDOT's already nervous when they saw the timeline of the Hillmar's plant, because they've already been working on their side for a while.
It's quick.
Of getting the highway, again, 112 road is the #1 focus.
Yeah.
Other things could come a little bit later and be less problematic for Hillmar's facility.
Yep.
So that was just an ask by KDOT about the survey. And if the answer is no, that's quite all right. Then KDOT can go through their process of procuring. Again, we don't even know at this point if KDOT's gonna take on the entire project, or if they're just gonna take the highway parts and then ask the county to lead the improvements of the township roads themselves. I think they're supposed to be meeting internally again this week, and then they'll be coming back to meet with us as a collective group shortly thereafter to try to hash all that part out. And kind of right now, the big question is just who's doing what and when, and we don't have an answer to that.
Okay.
Any questions on the road improvements for Hillmar this time? All right, well, appreciate everybody's patience and listening to the long explanation, because it is a lot of moving parts, pretty technical explanation to go through all that. Frank Farrell, I did my first page of notes, I'll go back to you.
So John, probably one place to probably take us is 102 and 113 road.
On the reclamations. So 102 Road, the plan is to get that bid this spring. I'm hoping for February. We completed the field survey on both of them. Have not really started the plan production on 102 Road. Hoping to get some design staff freed up here pretty quick so we can get started on that. What's gonna take a little bit of time is on about the south half mile from Highway 50 going north a half mile on 102. the slopes coming off the edge of pavement are pretty steep. So, again, haven't been able to process and evaluate the survey data, but I think we want to look at lowering the road elevation there for a while, so we can flatten those out and make it a better situation. If someone were to leave the roadway, they'd have a better chance of recovery and not rolling the vehicle.
Okay.
And so that does take a little time to come up with a new roadway profile and then design these slopes coming off the road and the ditch improvements there. Once we get half miles of approximation, and maybe more or less than that, but if we get about a half mile or so north of 50, you're coming up that steep hill and you kind of crest the vertical curve and things flatten out and are not near as steep up there. From that point, it's just pretty much like we did on Jewel Road. Chew it up, mix it up with cement and water, back that mixed soil and pavement back down, and put an asphalt cap on it.
Okay.
So it's really that first part that's gonna involve design.
I think what I thought was interesting in your wording under that one was the paragraph where it says the 102 road reclamation was submitted to the KDOT cost share program but not selected. I have a hunch that with the state committing to a substantial amount of money towards improving 112 and Outlaw Road for Hillmar, right? Ford County's odds of getting the new cost share money may be diminished.
That thought popped into my head too.
Yeah, so
Doesn't hurt to apply.
it doesn't hurt to apply, but it may push that project back. Is it-
Probably it's a
Okay.
relatively short project, so
It is.
the funding is there from the county side. If we could get state assistance, that's great.
Yep.
KDOT will have another cost share application in the spring, so the application's done. I've seen harm in just resubmitting it, see what they
Okay.
say.
Okay.
But yeah, the county does have the funds to do that one. And then 113 Road from Wyatt Earp to Highway 50 North, which is 3 miles, that was planned for next year, or next year, 2023. So for 2022, we were only looking at doing 102 Road.
Okay.
Reclamation and new surfacing.
Okay.
And it'll be interesting to see, I kind of put a note in there that construction prices on the highway system are elevating in the last couple of months. So one of the notes I had was the Highway 50 4-lane improvement project. It bids in 2 weeks, or actually a week from Wednesday, the 15th of December.
Okay.
Now, so KDOT will post the bids usually the next day after they're turned in, and they'll show what all companies bid and what their total was, but they don't provide a detailed breakdown of the bids until after they are awarded, usually about 30 days or so, assuming it gets awarded. So we'll see a total number of the bid, but we won't necessarily know like how much did they bid per ton of asphalt, probably until January. But that's about the time we're planning on starting to advertise 102 Road. So assuming KDOT awards a bid, then they'll release those individual items and we can kind of see some pricing numbers
Okay.
on that project. Now, obviously, that's a much larger project, that's not going to be directly applicable. So we are monitoring KDOT's bidding a lot of their asphalt overlays for 2022 right now. We are monitoring the bid numbers for those projects. But I'm seeing where asphalt last year was going for like $75 a ton, now it's about $115. So it's gone up pretty significantly, 40–50% almost, on straight overlay. So we'll have to see what bids come in, and if they come in extremely high, then the county will make choice. Do we want to accept that bid on 102 Road, or
See what the future is.
wait, and see if we can bid it in the winter of 22 for 2023 construction or something.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just the way it goes. I did talk to a contractor about their take on why prices are escalating. Like, is it one thing? Is it a combination of things? They said from their viewpoint, it's a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Number one, fuel prices are up. You're talking about paving a road, almost everything's hauled by truck. So all your aggregates are brought in by truck. Some of them may be brought in by train, but they still run with diesel fuel as well, and then truck from the drop-off point. Once you mix the asphalt, it gets trucked to the site. Your paver runs on fuel. All your construction equipment runs on gasoline or diesel. Shipping costs, because again, they're driven by fuel, are up. There's labor shortage. You hear that in the news everywhere. Contractors can't hardly hire people. KDOT's putting out a ton of work. They're trying to hire up to do all the KDOT work. They can't find people. They can't buy equipment because it's short on hand. When stuff breaks, they can't hardly find parts to break the equipment they got. They just said it's all piling up, you know, making their life difficult. There's a lot of work out there, that's great. They can't get the people, the equipment, the materials to build the work.
Right.
So it's kind of an interesting situation. Brief update on the Iron Star Wind Farm project south of town. We're kind of on the finalization of things process. Looked like when I drive into town, there's still one crane set up down there, so they're not all off the site yet, but it should be very close. They're getting their towers energized and operational. We're not 100% there yet. So they are working on reclaiming work that they've done on county and township roads where they may have modified intersections for bigger radiuses for turning. They're taking those radiuses out and restoring the ground to the way it was before. They did tell us that they feel like west of 283 highway, they are to a point where they have asked us to do a post-construction evaluation and documentation. Our full-time person is still on site, so we'll jump right on that and develop a punch list on as far as the county and township road system. And then they're still working on stuff east of 283, so that would come later, probably after the first of the year. There was some damaged asphalt at the intersection of 106 and Ridge Road, and they were gonna work on that. Actually, I think they finished that last week, if I remember my emails correctly. Late last week, yeah. Chris concurs with that. The switch yard that was being constructed by ATC to convert, that's the right word, but switch the
AC.
Well, it's not that yet, that's a different power line. This is just switching it from the wind farm to ITC's transmission line.
Gotcha.
So the AC, the DC would be the Grain Belt Express, that's the
Yeah.
big power line, that's still in the works. But the ITC Saddle Switch Yard, that project is completed. We did the post-construction evaluation of Saddle Road, didn't find any damages whatsoever, so.
Yeah, I had a feeling this would be minimal.
Yeah, right, yeah. Probably the biggest concern is if they would damage it, bringing all the dirt up from the south, because they were crossing Saddle Road there, but there might have been a little bit early on that they fixed, right on the edge of the road, but at the end, there's nothing needed to be fixed, so that project is completed. I don't really have anything new on the other potential wind farms. Pioneer Creek and the name of the other one on a different page. Mako. Nothing from an engineering standpoint, county engineering standpoint, at least on those two. And the Grain Belt Express, again, we're, as far as the involvement I have, is we're waiting on them to get back with us on the road use and maintenance agreements. Pawnee County, we've been working with them as well, and they're kind of, leading the charge, so to speak, on the road maintenance agreement discussion. One of our engineers, Tanner Yost, that deals a lot with wind farms and power line projects, has been dealing with Pawnee County. And he did share the draft with Glenn, and Glenn provided some comments from his viewpoint on behalf of Ford County. So the goal is, Kirk and Michael, I should say, is working with several counties in a row, Ford County, Edwards, Pawnee, up to Barton County. If everybody's okay with that, developing one agreement so that everybody's basically operating off the same agreement and working on the same page. So we are sharing that with other counties just to make sure they're comfortable with that, with the wording of that agreement.
John, Glenn has made some recommendations and
Yes.
changes to that.
Glenn has already reviewed that document and provided comments. Thank you. As far as a few new business items, I did help the county to develop a funding application for the local bridge improvement program through KDOT. That was submitted October 6th. This is to replace off-system Bridge 97. Which currently is a reinforced concrete span bridge built in 1930. It's posted 10 tons. It's located on 133 Road, in between, about halfway between, about a half mile north of Lariat Road, and it goes over the Coon Creek. So it's 90 plus years old, and it probably served its life. And it's posted pretty low tonnage, It'd be a nice one to get replaced and put out a legally loaded capacity bridge. I would expect KDOT to announce the selected project for that program in just about any day. Then we also worked on submitting a high-risk road funding application. We discussed that at the commission meeting a couple months ago to do pavement marking placement. That program is really nice on pavement markings because it's 100% federal funds to do everything. The design, engineering, construction, and construction inspection. It's 100% federal aid. All the county would have to do is, if they're awarded the project, is sign off on the funding agreement, which it will say it's 100% federal aid, 0% county. And have a consultant design the project and have KDOT bid if they administer the project. I would guess those projects won't be announced probably until after the first of the year. Today, Chris and I went out and looked at a Township Road, which is a horseshoe road between 132 and 133 in Wheatland Township. They asked the county to do a drainage study to look at the adequacy of the drainage culverts that are there and determine if the responsibility for those culverts would be township or county based on the drainage data. So we're working on that for the next meeting. And then I've been working with Missy in Planning and Zoning on developing a wind farm section for the zoning regulations. Currently, the county's been operating off kind of an insert, if you will, to the regulations. But we're working on a specific section to address wind farms that would utilize what the county currently has been using, and then kind of incorporating some regulations from other counties as well. When we feel like that draft is ready, which would be sooner than later, next month or two, we would submit that to Glenn for review and comment, and then take it to the commissioners and get your feedback on that regulation as well before it's implemented. Final thing I had is I do plan on attending the Christmas luncheon on Thursday. Hang out with everybody. Always enjoy that.
Yeah. It's good, man.
We got an ugly sweater?
Just an ugly face, I guess. I don't know. I usually forget.
Hopefully that doesn't win an award. Crack me up.
Any questions from anybody? Any rebuttals about the ugliness? I don't know. Not even kids speaking.
No.
Killing me.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for the report.
All right, thank you very much.
Next item is Road and Bridge bid results.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Chris.
We went out for bid for 2 turnkey units, dump trucks. They would come with snow plows and salt spreaders as well. We received 4 bids, and in front of you, you should have the spreadsheet that I created. Just go through it real quick. I did a list showing what the main dump truck vendor is, what body vendor they're working with, the make, the model, standard warranty, extended warranty, what the price was for the chassis, the price for the body unit, the total unit price, and then the total price for the 2 trucks, and then the delivery date. First 2 bids were from Trivista Dodge City, which is Dodge City International. The first one was their body vendor was Fleet Pride. Their total unit price was $230,788.76. So the total price of the 2 trucks was $461,577.52, and their delivery date would be November 30th of 2022. Next would be Trivista Dodge City with MasterTech as the body vendor. Their total unit price was $247,681.80. Total price for 2 trucks was $495,363.60. Delivery date also November 30th, 2022. Next was Truck Center Companies working with MasterTech. Their total unit price was $241,648. Total price $483,296, and their delivery date was August of 2022. And then we have Dodge City Kenworth also working with Master Tech. Total unit price, $245,009. Total price for both trucks, $490,018. And their delivery date was third quarter of 2022. My recommendation, I base that off the low bid. All the chassis met specifications. The bodies met specifications as well. The only issue that I discovered, or that I have, is with the Trivista Fleet Pride one. They are the low bid. The only issue that I had was the snow plows. They do not match what we currently have. It's a different attachment. So if we went with them, those two snow plows would have to stay with those two trucks. We wouldn't be able to interchange them with the older snow plows that we have now. Wouldn't be able to swap stuff around if we ever had to. So, that's the only issue that I had. The major difference in price was Fleet Pride come in for their body, the snow plow and salt spreader at $91,265.96, and Master Tech for all three that they worked with was $108,159. If you have any questions.
How big's the engine?
It's 500 horsepower. The one from Truck Center Companies was actually, they did one at 525 horsepower.
What about the Allison automatic?
Yes, sir.
How big a front?
So we went with the 2,000-pound minimum capacity front axle.
20,000.
Yeah, 20,000, excuse me, yes.
What size tires? On the front,
On the front tires, we went with, I put 11R 22.5s. That's what we've had for all of our dump trucks now. So that's what we have.
front and back, right?
Yes.
What about your rear end? What size is it?
46,000 pounds.
What's the ratio?
The ratio, I didn't submit a ratio, just it said it should provide a vehicle speed of 70 miles per hour.
Okay. The frame is a single frame? Or double?
Single frame.
That's that heavy single, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm good to go.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve Trivista of Dodge City as recommended by Road and Bridge Director Chris O'Neill.
I second that.
With the motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. There was two bids from Trivista, so you're taking the low bid, correct?
I am taking the low bid,
Okay.
correct, yep.
Okay.
That's what you recommended?
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Next item is Fort County Fire and EMS.
Afternoon, Chief.
Follow-up is in reference to the Spearville Fire Station that we had talked about 3 weeks ago for the addition. Met with the zoning person over there in Spearville. They suggested we go ahead and submit a plan and drawings for the addition. We're looking at putting it on the north side of the building. GIS from Ford County surveyed that, and we have 22 feet. We would need roughly 12 feet of that, which would give us a 10 foot, whatever cushion between the next property owner. That is below minimum what is required, but we could always apply for a variance once they see the plans and how the drawing lays out. So I guess
What is the next business next door?
There isn't one, it's just owned by a private individual, it's a machine shed or a storage shed,
Okay.
open pond.
Okay, so it's still commercial looking?
Yeah, it's off Main Street,
Yeah.
it's just an old farm shed.
Okay.
I'm just looking for some guidance on what you want me to do next.
Design your building and get a bid.
I'm not a designer, so
No,
you don't want my drawing.
Well, what you said, you need a place to sleep with people, is that correct?
Right.
What is your necessity then? I forgot already what you said. Need a place to sleep and need a bathroom?
And how many people would be in there?
Right now, there'll just be one over there 24/7. Bathroom, a little bit of maybe a living room and a very small kitchen.
I'm just looking for a motion to engage the architect.
Right. I would make a motion to allow Chief Boyd, with assistance through administration, go out to engage an architect on designing Fort County Fire and EMS for Spearville.
I second that.
With the motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Next item is Kennedy McKee. Oh, I thought you had left.
I think JD had sent out copies of the engagement letter for next year's audit, which I forgot to bring for the audit report delivery. And we're not sure just yet whether or not we'll have a single audit in 2021, but it's getting pretty close, so that would be the X factor there. But prices quoted in those engagement letters were up just around 3%, I believe, from the current year, so.
Okay.
And you have gotten those from Amy, not me.
Right.
Administration.
There you go.
But, yeah, that's all I have.
Okay.
You guys have any questions?
I have some questions for you.
Very good.
I'd make a motion to approve the letters of agreement with Kennedy McKee and Company LLP to perform the audits for Ford County and for the Ford County Rural Fire Department for the fiscal year, really that'd be 2021 end of audit.
2021.
Yeah.
I second that.
All right. With the motion second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Item number 7, Kansas Association of Counties Special Election. This special election will be held on Wednesday, January 5th, 2022 at 2 to 3 p.m. Voting delegates approved at Fort County Commission meeting number 2021-32 are as follows. The voting delegate, Sean Tassett. First alternate, Jonathan Gilbert. Second alternate, Brent Pogue. Absolutely, it's written right here.
I'd make a motion to approve the same delegates, in the same order. For the Kansas Association of Counties special meeting.
I second it.
All right. Any further discussion? We have a motion second. Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item, League of Kansas Municipalities membership dues. Board should discuss the membership dues for League of Kansas Municipalities 2022.
I'd make a motion to approve the League of Kansas Municipalities membership dues for 2022.
I second that.
Motion second. Any discussion on this? I do know that this is something that we do utilize, so it's based on our census. So, something we do each year. All right, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Next item, County Commission 2021 year-end meeting. Board will discuss and choose a date and time for the last Ford County Commission meeting of 2021. December 31st, 2021 was approved for the New Year's Day holiday.
I recommend the 29th.
That's a Wednesday. Everybody's content with that?
You can do it morning or afternoon.
All right, I'd make a motion that we approve December 29th. How about a 9 o'clock meeting? I make that motion.
I second
Now we can discuss it. You may not like that time.
it. Well, we could move it up earlier.
Yep. I figured it gives them time to get their stuff in a row, I mean, just in case there's a last second thing.
We can always write a special check, so we need to the next day.
I was gonna say, it's really.
Shoot, let's move it to the 30th then.
It's really
31st.
on the clerk's office.
It's just, the 30th will give us time to get things mailed out.
Okay. So that time works?
8 o'clock,
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock, yeah, that works.
Okay. With a motion second, we'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Upcoming meetings, Employee Appreciation Luncheon, December 9th, 2021, Expo Center from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Christmas holiday, Friday, December 24th, 2021. New Year's holiday, Friday, December 31st, 2021. That is all for the county administrator's report.
All right. Make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.